Sometimes there are the days that are very difficult to get through, aren't they? We all have had to experience it. And when you do, hopefully you have a team of people, friends and family, and people in your fellowship group that are praying, interceding. And these are things sometimes you cannot express in detail, but I would encourage, if the Lord puts someone on your mind, on your heart, pray for them, intercede for them, because you don't know exactly what they're going through. Sometimes they're not able to tell you everything. Sometimes they're not able to communicate with you. I was without my phone and then without any of my contacts to contact anyone for days. And I still have the contact list that is unrestored, lost. And so if people don't call me, I won't be able to call them. I don't have their numbers anymore. Reach out to your friends, to your family, to people on a regular basis. Ask, how can I pray for you? And if they don't give you any specifics, maybe it's too personal, whatever, pray for them in the Spirit. The Lord knows what they're going through. The Lord knows what they need. Sometimes it's financial. Sometimes it's physical presence. Sometimes it's something spiritual in a battle and the burden that they may be carrying. And when you're in ministry, you carry a lot of burdens. It's a lot of people. And I talk to several of you, but for every one person I talk to, you have no idea of the other people, the ones that are in desperate situations. And I equally have to give them time, prayer, carry their burden. Some problems I can solve, some problems I cannot. Some advice I can give, other times I have to wait. So there is a burden in ministry, tremendous burden we carry. Consider that, excuse me, when I'm not able to reach back or reach out. And if you're accustomed to me reaching out to you, and I don't, then you know already that there are needs, there are battles that I am fighting on behalf of other people, and not to mention the ones I fight on behalf of myself. So all of your prayers and all of your intercession, always, always wonderful. Your help is always warranted. It is always needed. And I thank you all who do that. And I hope others will do more. Trying times, I know the Lord will provide. So let's carry each other's burdens as best we can. Pray, intercede, hope, and keep loving God. Amen. I mentioned why it was important to pray for those in ministry. If you don't pray for anyone, absolutely never forget to pray for those in ministry who carry a burden like no other creature on earth, because they stand in the gap between two worlds, the natural world and the spiritual world. And it's like holding those two rifts. To reconcile them, they become little shepherds. The work that I do, Yeshua said, you shall do. And he's talking to his Talmudim, to the disciples, those that are going to be ministers, prophets, messengers, emissaries of God, to the sheep, to help to shepherd the people. It's quite a job, folks. In 2 Corinthians chapter 11, let's read that. I would like you to bear with me, Paul says, and just a little foolishness. Please, bear with me for a moment, for I am jealous for you with God's kind of jealousy, since I promised to present you as a pure virgin in marriage to your one husband, the Messiah. Paul says, I have a position. I'm standing in the rift between you and God. I'm here to help to get you ready. I'm responsible for you spiritually. I have to guard you, take care of you. Kind of like what the eunuchs would do for the king's harem, to take care of the king's brides. Since I promised to present you, I made a commitment, a covenant to do this, to help to prepare you for your God, your husband, the Messiah. And I fear that somehow that your minds may be seduced away from simple and pure devotion to the Messiah, just as Eve, Havah, was deceived by the serpent. For if someone comes and tells you about some other Yeshua than the one we told you about, or if you receive a spirit different from the one you received, except some so-called good news, different from the good news you already accepted, you bear with him well enough. And he's basically saying, somebody else comes in your life, you have forgotten about us. It might be someone telling you about how to get rich with Amway, or how to do this in stocks, or how to do this in real estate, or how to do this and that, or how to go over here, or how to take this hobby up and put this up. And wow, you really put up with those people, don't you? Because they're telling you what you want to hear. But you don't seem to bear with us very much. For I don't consider myself in any way inferior to these super emissaries. Now, these are people who, the super emissaries, the messengers. Now, that's a reference to the disciples. Remember, Paul came around much later. And he came around with a bad reputation, remember? He got converted after causing trouble. In fact, he was guilty of consenting to stoning, persecuting Stephen, my namesake, considered the first martyr. Stoned him in the middle of his sermon. And Stephen was faithful, but it didn't matter to Paul and those who didn't understand at the moment. They saw Stephen as an enemy of God because they were caught up in the church of their day, the synagogue, the tradition. And he says, I don't consider myself inferior just because I'm not one of the super apostles. I'm not Peter, I'm not John, I'm not Matthew, I'm not Luke, yeah. But I don't consider myself inferior. I may not be a skilled speaker, but I do have the knowledge. So they were much better speakers. Now, Paul had knowledge, he did. And he said, I count my knowledge as nothing compared to the power, the simple fruit of the Spirit, the actions of the Holy Ghost. I'm not going to brag about what I know, and I know a lot. I'm not going to talk with the excellency of my collegiate understanding and education. I have knowledge. Anyhow, we have made clear to you in every way and in every circumstance. See, Paul told them earlier, I did not come in the excellency of speech, but in the power and in the demonstration. I often tell guys, just walk with me. Most just want to talk. That's how they're used to learning. Just talk. Sit in a circle and let's just talk and talk and talk. Talk is cheap. What you do matters. How you give your life, what you do with your life. You can talk and pray for somebody to be warm or pray for somebody in need. It's best to just open up the checkbook and give them some money. It's best to open up the refrigerator and pack up some food. It's better to open up your closets and just pack a suitcase and give them some clothes. It's best to open up a room and say, here, you can sleep here. Physical. I didn't come in excellency of speech just to hear a sermon on Sunday morning. Just to read a book, to watch a speaker on YouTube. We're doing it. We're doing the work and the power and the demonstration. It's being demonstrative with your faith. We've given you the knowledge. In every circumstance, walk with me. You can see. Jesus said, which accusation am I being, for what work am I being judged? He didn't say, what did I say? He said, what work? Which of my works, my misfits, are you judging me for? Or did I sin in humbling myself so that you could be exalted? See, many people will treat you really bad. Jordan Peterson said, don't be nice to a narcissist. They only get worse. And that's true. I found that out. When I've complimented people that are narcissists, it doesn't make any difference. It's as if they don't even hear it. But the moment the slightest insult or anything that can be perceived as an insult, oh man, even if they don't hear it, they'll hear that. They'll take something and consider it an insult. It doesn't even matter to say anything good about a narcissist. And one of the reasons why is because they really don't spend much time saying anything good about you. They're not in constant acknowledgement of you. It's amazing. Paul said, I humbled myself. I actually exalted you. But you didn't exalt me. And proclaiming God's good news to you free of charge. I never charged you. I never charged you. And this, Paul said in one statement, he said, you're complaining about me, really? What is it if I reap some physical benefit for the spiritual benefit that you get? Because you put more value on that, that's why. People that count what they give and decide how generous they're going to be in my ministry. Oh, they'll talk, but they won't give anything. They'll give to a stranger before they give to you. They'll put up with their people at an office before they put up with you. I robbed other congregations by accepting support from them in order to serve you. You know how often my ministry, for those that are in need, the things I've done. I worked for 26 years in a real estate company, and the president of the company always accused me, you giving everything away, you'll never have anything. Well, I robbed, meaning I did whatever it took in order to support the ministry to others, and even to this day, without having that job. Anything I receive, if someone else is in need, I will rob myself to give to them. And you'll find people still will not support you. You'll have to carry that cross. Lord, help us how we treat God and toss crumbs. But Paul went through the same thing. In order to serve you, when I was with you, and when I had needs, I was not a burden to anyone. And he's making a point. You're supposed to carry each other's burdens. Boy, do you guys have no problem carrying the burden of sin. But the burden of righteousness, that's when you start complaining about what you do and how you give and how you live for God as if it's a pain in your spiritual rear butt. My needs were met by the brothers who came from Macedonia. And he's telling him, he goes, you could have helped my ministry, but you didn't, and I didn't demand, and I didn't ask. But God sent some other brothers from Macedonia to take care of what was needed. And nothing have I been a burden to you, and nor will I be a burden to you. The truthfulness of the Messiah is in me, so that the boast concerning me is not going to be silenced anywhere in Achaia. Why won't I ever accept your support? Is it that I don't love you? God knows I do. No, I do. And will go on doing it in order to out the ground from under those who want an excuse to boast that they work the same way we do. He says, I'm going to distinguish myself from others. I'm going to let you know that I'm different, not like the others. The fact is that such men are pseudo-emissaries, so-called messengers of God. They tell lies about what they do, their work, and masquerade as emissaries, messengers of Jesus, the Messiah. There is nothing surprising in that. He goes, I'm not surprised. For the adversary himself masquerades as an angel of light. Don't worry about complaining about the false preachers you hear on radio, television, YouTube streams, whatever. Paul's like, get over it. Why are you surprised? The devil was masquerading when he first showed up on the scene. We're not surprised. So it's no great thing if his workers masquerade as servants of righteousness, the devil's workers. They will meet their end, and the deeds deserve. I repeat, if anyone think I'm a fool, but even if you do, at least receive me as a fool. I'm not even a false prophet. I'm not a false messenger, and you give more attention to those. Of course you would. But even if you do think I'm a fool, at least receive me as a fool, so that I too may do a little boasting. What I am saying is not in accordance with the Lord. Rather, this conceited boasting is spoken as a fool would speak. He goes, this is not how the Lord would have me talk. And this is very similar. If you ever read Psalm 73, I encourage that you do after you hear this message. I'm talking from my flesh. Job did the same thing, and then to God. And then God says, okay, now I'm going to talk. He goes, I'm talking as a fool. Let me be a fool for a moment and act and talk like many of you do. And he says, I'm going to talk like a fool now. Since many people boast in a worldly way, and they do, their cars, their jobs, their accounts, their business, their clients, all kinds of stuff, the football teams, the politician idols, I too will boast in this way. He says, give me a moment. Let me be a fool for a moment just to make my point. For since you yourselves are so wise, you gladly put up with fools because you're so wise. You put up with it if someone makes slaves of you. Oh, yeah. And he says, you take it. And he rebuked them once before in the writings in the book of Hebrews. You know, if you notice, like, well, you may not notice, but for those of us who are in ministry, we do all the time. You can correct people in ministry, and they look like they want to choke you. But they take correction from their offices where they work. And they'll take correction from a doctor or an attorney or a business expert, but you see, God is not allowed to correct you. Where's the love? Well, what do you mean? That is what love does. Love does correct. You receive punishment from your earthly fathers, from the judge, from the court, but not from God. You accept the penalties for having not giving the right offering to the IRS, and you pay it, but not from God. You're hypocrites. Paul is telling them, he's bringing them out. He goes, okay, I'm going to talk as a fool as a moment, since you put up with fools. And you make yourselves slaves to fools. And by the way, you make yourselves a slave to foolish things. Not to mention all of the addictions. Wow. It's hard to read this for me because I relate to it. You put up with it if someone makes slaves, exploits you even, takes you in, puffs himself up. He can even slap you in the face. To my shame, I must admit that we have been too weak to do such things. They can exploit you. They can be cruel to you. They can demand from you, football coaches. They can hit you, slap you in the face. You still serve them. God knows what those addictions are doing to you, and you still will take God's time, God's body, and God's money, and you will give it to the thing that's killing you. But if anyone dares to boast about something that I'm talking like a fool, I am just as daring. Are they Hebrew speakers, by the way? So am I. Are they of the people of Israel? So am I. Are they descendants of Abraham? So am I. Are they servants of the Mashiach? I know, I'm talking like a madman. I'm a better one. Paul is making the point. He's like, why are you guys treating us so terrible? And you're treating the people that are terrible so well. I'm Hebrew. I speak it. I'm of the seed of Israel and Abraham. I'm a descendant. I have accepted the Mashiach. In fact, I'm an even better messenger. I've worked so much harder. I've been in prison more often, and I've suffered more beatings. You know, being a messenger doesn't mean you have a road paved in gold and no problems. He goes, oh, well, let me tell you about what it means to be a real servant, a messenger. I've suffered more beatings than they have. I've been near death over and over, not just once, and I can vouch for that one. 5 times I received 40 lashes, less one, from the Jews. The Judeans is what he's referring to. 3 times I was beaten with rods. Once I was stoned. Reaping what he sowed. He survived his stoning. Stephen didn't survive his. 3 times I was shipwrecked. I've been car shipwrecked. And I hate to tell you, Paul, multiply 3 times 10, 30 times for me. I spent a night and a day in the open sea. I lived in my car once 3 months in the coldest winter California's ever had. I spent a night and a day in the open sea. In my many travels, I have been exposed to danger, from rivers, danger from robbers. I've got stories about my mission trips. Some of you know some of them. Danger from my own people. Oh, yes. My own people. Amazing. I have had that happen too many times. Danger from Gentiles, not just my own people, but people that weren't my own people. Danger in the city, danger in the desert. Danger at sea. Danger from false brothers. Wow. That what really gets me. I've had many false brothers and false disciples. I have toiled and endured hardship, often not had enough sleep. Well, I'm still in that category. Been hungry and thirsty, Yeah, that happens quite a lot, particularly the last 3 years of my ministry now. And besides these external matters, he says, frequently gone without food. And I have found that to be an excellent opportunity to fast for people, turning my lemon into lemonade. Been cold and naked. And besides these external matters, besides these physical ailments that I suffer, which I don't talk too much about, there is the daily pressure of my anxious concern for all the congregations. He says, and that doesn't, now let's talk about the burden I carry for those I minister to. Besides those external things, let's talk about the real pain I suffer. So let me just say this, Paul says. So now, who is weak without my sharing his weakness? Who falls into sin without my burning inside? I'm carrying your burdens. If I must boast, then let me boast. Not about my ministry, not about that, not about what I endure. Let me boast about the things that show how weak I am. I'm not going to boast about how great I am, how much I know, how much I endure, how much pain and stress I take. I just accept that. Like I accept the fact there are people that will represent God who are not followers of God. They will teach the wrong gospel, preach the wrong gospel, and you'll put up with that, and you'll attack the one who tells you the truth. But I'm not going to boast about that. I'm not going to boast about what I know. I'm not going to boast about where I've been, how much I've gone through. God, the Father of the Lord Yeshua, remember that, the Father of the Lord Yeshua. Blessed be he forever. If you know one thing about me, I just love to lift up the name of the Lord, knows that I am not lying. When I was in Damanuta, the governor under King Aretas had the city of Damanuta guarded in order to arrest me. But I was lowered in a basket through an opening in the wall, and I escaped his clutches. So sometimes you have to permit me to speak as a fool, because there are moments where I need to get away and be silent. There are great demonic attacks, but I've been fighting this battle for a very long time, over 55 years. So I'm used to the demonic attacks, and I know how to handle them. Maybe you guys don't know how to pray and how to help. But where you can ease the burden, ease it. And where you can't, don't worry about it. The Lord is faithful, and the war goes on until our King comes and settles it. Go with God. Be faithful. Do what's right. Shalom.